Hello folks, Frank again. Frank Severely Normal. I'm back. You're severely normal too. Anyway, last video, I put some facts on my fact wall. This is facts, chain of events that happened. The Sustainability Fund was established in 2003. The seniors were excused in 2004, but it was announced in 2003. And at the Stampede, Ralph held up a sign, paid in full. In October, I'm going to get you the exact date, because I had it here. Anyway, I don't know, maybe 22nd, 25th. Anyway, in October of 2004, an election was called. That's the next official thing. Election called, and they had the election. Right there. Now, the things that I circled are politicking. Ralph paid in full, holding up a sign, that's politicking. An election was called. That's an official act of the government. Now, they call this election based on, they set their election up by establishing the Sustainability Fund, excusing the seniors, Ralph saying we were paid in full, and like I said, they wanted us to believe that we were richer than we think. Then they called an election based on this. Is it any wonder that Ralph got elected in a landslide? Because we had another big fund started, and because seniors didn't have to pay their taxes anymore, and because Ralph held up a sign saying we were paid in full. They called an election and, whoops, that's a 0. That's an O1. I don't even know how to spell election right now. I got too much running through my head. They called an election based on these 3 things that they did. And is it any surprise that they were re-elected with an overwhelming majority because they had made us believe we're richer than we think? That's how Ralph won in a landslide. Ralph in a landslide. But now, the PCs were done with Ralph, because Ralph, from the start, was just another useful idiot. Now, Ralph Klein was a liberal. Ralph Klein I'm going to go on to Ralph Klein here because we have to get the background on these people a little bit to establish this conspiracy. So we're going to start doing associations, because we're trying to prove a conspiracy of association, a fraud, done over a wide segment of our society, all parties associated. So Ralph all his life, even when he was mayor of Calgary, always identified as a liberal. I met Ralph twice. But then when he ran as an MLA, he ran as a progressive conservative because they were in power. If he would have run as a liberal, he wouldn't have got elected. So he went with the PCs. And because he was such a popular guy in Calgary, and because he ran in Calgary Elbow, and he was a populist mayor, of course he got elected as an MLA. So he was elected as an MLA, anyway, with a progressive conservative. So we're going to put his name down here, Ralph Klein. So Ralph Klein did those 3 acts before he retired on behalf of the Progressive Conservative Association of Alberta. Oh, he did a few other things. Way back when, in 92 or 94, after he was elected, 93 or 94, after he was elected and he was pulling a lot of money out of the public purse, he took time on his own to go down to the homeless shelter and throw pennies at the people who are the government is supposed to protect. That tells you what kind of man Ralph Klein really was now, doesn't it? So there's Ralph Klein, and I've spent a night or two at the single men's hostel in my life. The good thing I wasn't there, Ralph. I know you're not here with us on Earth, Ralph, but if you were, and if I was there, all of those pennies would have come back to you. Okay, so for right now, I'm done with Ralph, but we could go through his thing that he started out as a TV reporter, and he was a popular guy, and that's how he got elected mayor of Calgary. I was living in Calgary at the time. That's how he got elected, because he was already a popular guy, and then because things went well in the 90s, he was even more popular guy. And that's how he got elected as an MLA in Bow. And because he was such a popular guy, that's why the PCs put him up as a premier, smiley face, who's going to grab you by the throat and squeeze 20% out of you. But you love him, he's a king. So, I'm done with Ralph for now. I just put Ralph underneath the stack. Now the next thing that Ralph did, I'm not quite done with Ralph. I think Ralph caught on that he was being used as a pawn. Because in 2004, after he had this big election, when he wasn't so useful to the PCs anymore and they were trying to push him out, he gave us all back. He gave us all back $400 of our own money in Ralph bucks. Now he gave that back to us in early 2006, but I think he dreamed it up in 2005. But anyway, we'll go to 2006. I'm going to date these actions. In 2006, we got Ralph bucks. 1.4 billion Ralph bucks. Now I don't say that people didn't deserve that money. Because obviously a lot of lower income people were overtaxed in the Alberta Healthcare Premium Fund when it wasn't adjusted through the 40 years that the Progressive Conservative Association of Alberta controlled our province. But what I'm saying is, I think that by this time Ralph realized that the Progressive Conservative Association of Alberta had used him and wasn't doing the right thing for the people, and so he gave us some money back. So kudos to Ralph on that one. But then Ralph retired, was pushed out, held a leadership convention. He got more than 50% support at the leadership convention, but he decided that wasn't enough support, so he retired. He was going senile by then anyway. Ralph retired. So when Ralph retired, we had to have a convention, a leadership convention. The first guy to put his name up for the leadership convention, Steady Eddie Stelmach, the former. Gosh golly gee, and he won. And he became our premier. Just like Ralph became our premier without an election, except in the PC family. And Stelmach was elevated to our premier by an election in the PC family. So Stelmach become our premier. This is a fact. These are facts. Now I want to let on a little bit to the people here. I see a psychologist approximately once a month dealing with my PTSD. Now, when I first started seeing the psychologist, this was right around the time of the PCs presenting Jim Prentice in his acting job. Thus, this politics would come out in my meetings with the psychologist, and the psychologist being paid huge money out of the public purse to minister to me, to help me sort out my problems. He engaged in political talk with me until I kept pushing that the destruction of the Alberta healthcare premium tax was really a transfer of the tax load from the wealthy onto the poor, onto the middle class. And I kept reiterating that stance to the point that he didn't want to talk politics anymore, because there was one instance when I could see the recognition in his eyes, that he recognized that I was a man of no small intellect. Well, you're right, doctor. So I recognized in that instance that he recognized it. And from that point forward, and in every one of my meetings with him, we've been playing a game. He knows I know he knows I know, and so we're pretending to focus on my problems, but really, he's the problem. Because he, doing this, sorting this out, figuring this out for you, the people of Alberta, is what I was put on this earth to do. And I really believe that. And he decided that I shouldn't talk about politics. I shouldn't even think about I should just think about my own problems and my addictions and everything so he could minister to me. Well, doctor, I won't be coming back to see you anymore. I know we have an appointment on the 15th of this month, which is 5 days away. I won't be coming to see you anymore. But I won't out you. You have your position up there in the hierarchy. I won't out you. I just want you to know, and I want the people to know, that the last 20 sessions were a complete waste of their time. And your wages should be reduced, because you know it's a complete waste of time. There ain't nothing wrong with me now. Let's go on to the sixth thing that happened here. So the sixth thing that happened is that Ralph retired. Ralph retired in 2006, just after he gave us the Ralph bucks. Ralph retired in 2006. Ralph retired. And that's a fact. These are facts. All of them. Except for Ralph holding up the sign saying paid in full. That was just politicking. Okay, well, Ralph retired and he's out of the picture. So we don't have to talk about Ralph anymore. So then the PCs are looking for a new leader. So they brought in Mr. Stelmach to go against Mr. Dinning and Mr. I have to actually look at my notes because that was so long ago, wasn't it? Mr. Dinning and Mr. Morton, or Mr. Dinning and Mr. Anyway, he came in third. He came in down on the first ballot. But with ranked ballots, the way they have it in the PC Association family, he came in second on every ballot. They wanted Jim Dinning first, but if it wasn't Jim Dinning, they didn't want the other good guy. They wanted Steady Eddie Stelmach. Well, this is how the PCs do their balloting. It's got nothing to do with the rest of Alberta. It's the PC themselves electing us a premier. So they foisted Steady Eddie Stelmach on us. 7. Stelmach. He won the leadership race. He won the leadership race. What a race. Stelmach. And the PCs got the farmer premier that they wanted. He knows how to grow wheat. Does he know how to govern? So, we got Mr. Stelmach. Let's see what Mr. Stelmach did. Now, Mr. Stelmach called an election for 2008. In 2008, he called an election. But wait, before he called an election, He was anointed as our premier by the PC family party before he became our premier. Before he was elected by the population as premier, they had to get to like him. So the first thing he did, so Stelmach's the seventh fact. He was appointed, anointed as our premier, our poobah. The farmer became the poobah. So now he calls an election. I don't know when he called that election, actually. I know when it was, when the election was. He was elected. I'm going to put it down here. I'm not even going to number it. He was elected by the population. He was elected by the population in February of 2008. 2008. Now, Mr. Stelmach did three things, and I don't know in what order he did them, because I haven't researched that. But I think that he did them in this order, although I could be wrong. But he did three things that are very important to my mind. He gave himself a 30% raise. And everybody else in cabinet. Now, I don't know if he did that after he was appointed premier or later on after he was elected premier. But sometime between the time Ralph retired and he was elected, or maybe shortly thereafter. Now, what else Mr. Stelmach did that's important to this? Well, here's a little one. He pulled the government funding for researchers medical researchers at the U of A. He pulled the funding for them. Oh, he did something else.